The Currituck Beach Lighthouse has over 200 steps that will lead you to a beautiful view of the Outer Banks, as well as an experience you will never forget. They also have original houses of the lightkeepers here, as well as a museum you can check out. We spoke with one of the site managers to learn a little bit more facts about the area, so let's see.
Megan Agresto, site manager of the Currituck Beach Lighthouse. This is a beautiful lighthouse built sort of in the heyday of beautiful American lighthouses. So we're first illuminated in 1875. You'll see that this is unpainted brick. A lot of people forget that Body and Hatteras and Cape Lookout are also brick because they're painted, but we're unpainted so that in the daytime we're distinguishable from other lighthouses nearby. And so if you had a light list while you were navigating at sea, you'd be like, okay, red brick lighthouse, I must be at Currituck. Okay, better not get too close. We've got shoals, we have no deep water, and this is the graveyard of the Atlantic. The last thing we want to do is run ashore. So that's what we say in the daytime with our red brick. And in the nighttime, at least when we were an oil burning lighthouse, which is between 1875 and 1933, we had to create a flash pattern when every lighthouse is burning oil. So everybody's going to look the same at night. You had to use what you had to create a flash that makes you distinct. Lights need to be high enough above sea level to shine far. But because the Outer Banks are so flat, we had to be tall. We, the Currituck Beach Lighthouse. The engineers of the lighthouse establishment used the benefit of being tall to create or to use a crank system of weights and pulleys to allow the pulling or the falling with gravity of a weight to move a drum, which moved a carriage which had 3 red covered flash panels, which meant that if you were a mariner in, let's say, 1876 and you weren't moving at sea, you would have seen a red light approaching you and then cross you for 5 seconds. And then as it passed, you would have just seen the white light of the shining through our first order Fresnel lens for 85 seconds. Again, you would have consulted your light list and be like, okay, I know where I am. I mentioned the Fresnel lens because we're one of, I think, 13 lighthouses in America that continues to be an active public aid to navigation with the use of a first order Fresnel lens, which is the largest of the 7 orders of the Fresnel lens. So that's pretty cool. It continues to be owned by the United States of America and used by the Coast Guard. Well, since 1933, we've had a flashing light. So that's much easier to distinguish. Everybody at this point has a different flash pattern. So we're 3 seconds on and 17 off. There were a variety of ways to make a light distinct at night. A lot of people are like, why is this lighthouse built in the woods? Which it wasn't, it was built on the beach. And in fact, our keeper's house here, which was built as a duplex for 3 families, is facing the Currituck Sound, because really that's where life was, right? In 1875, there was no chapel here, there was no post office here, there was no school here, but it was still a land-based lighthouse. So a lot of people were like, please let me serve at this lighthouse. So you would sail across the Currituck Sound for any of your needs. And by 1895 and 1896, we have a post office and a school and a chapel. So that really makes this a coveted light station. The dunes were created to protect the infrastructure that was built along the period of time of the Wright Brothers Memorial, getting rid of the cattle along the Outer Banks, which is something we used to have out here. That allowed for shrubbery to turn into trees, to turn into what looks like a maritime forest around us. This lighthouse has never been moved. This keeper's house has never been moved. Actually, with regard to the keeper's house, we're the only keeper's house of this style left in America. Also, our brick walkway is planetarily unique. You will not find a walkway like this with the curbs at any lighthouse because we've got enough space for it. And because, of course, this 1875, this is finished. 1876, the house is finished. That's 100 years after 1776. And this is a federal site. And it is my guess that there is a lot of intentionality about the details of the Victorian stick style and just how lovely this site is with the walkway and the lens and the first order house based on the timing of when the tower was built. But there are other things to do. We do have 3 museums just south of us in the historic Corolla Park. So that really brings a lot of people to enjoy this area. About our sweet little museum shop, which is an original lighthouse keeper's house, but it was built in the Currituck Sound on an island in the Currituck Sound. From the time we opened in mid-March through December 1st, which is our birthday, every day 9 to 5, weather permitting, we say. So that means we're open almost all the time, except for major storms, a northeast wind blowing rain into the lighthouse, and thunder. We don't let people climb because we're the tallest metal toppest building around. We do not want anyone getting shocked. People pay to climb. They do have to sign a waiver saying we understand that there is some risk in climbing a building. There's 220 steps to the top, 221 if you count one down and then have to go back out it. But there's 9 landings. That's the thing about this lighthouse, as I talked about. It's like a first order lighthouse, not just because of the size and beauty of the lens, but because there's a lot of architectural effort put into it. So instead of just having spiral steps to get to a utilitarian aid to navigation, these steps are only about 22 at a time, and then you have a break, and all of the landings are a different size, which means all that metal is cast separately, all of which cost the United States of America a lot of money to make as wide open. And people are like, oh, it's an open stairs, I'm scared. I'm like, no, you're not scared. You're there to appreciate that marble floor and the lightness of the tower and how you could build a lighthouse on sand and have it be so stable. So there's a lot to appreciate, Courtney, while you're on your way up.